Yeah. Hello, folks. Hi, everybody. Give it a little bit and let some more people join before we get started tonight. Hope everybody is doing well. Very excited for these couple of items we have coming up tonight. Really great new face Teddy here. Stags. Here we are. How are you, David?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
My computer still hates me, so
Oh, no.
we're working on it.
That's
It'll
all right.
happen.
We'll give it some time. Let some people join us.
It'll happen. How are things going for you?
Very good. Really excited about tonight's raffle. Got a nice duo coming up here tonight.
Yes, so this is our first time doing a double raffle.
That it is. That it is. So we'll get to have twice the fun.
Some people were busy bidding over the weekend, and so we didn't want to keep anybody any longer. We thought we'd just schedule it today and
Absolutely.
get these guys on the way to their new homes.
That's right. That's the beauty when they close out on Sundays, huh? We can get right to the action the following day.
Yes, I don't know if people have noticed, but it seems that Mondays and Thursdays tend to be raffle days.
Yep.
And so for everyone that's bidding out there, if you want to make you have the power to make a raffle happen. If you want a raffle to happen on a Monday and you're sitting there on a Sunday, you can see what slots are still available for what pieces, and you can close it out. So you can have the power, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. Actually, while we're getting started here and waiting for some folks to join us, I want to touch on that real quick. One of the messages I think, at least on my end, that I received the most from potential customers is people asking us how many slots are left on a given item. We do get that one pretty frequently. So I do just want to touch on that for a minute and let everybody know. For any given item, when a slot is purchased, the quantity available on our raffle page does dictate that. It will change accordingly once slots have been purchased. So if there's ever any beanies that you're wondering about, or you're curious to see how many slots are left or how close they are to closing out and heading to raffle, all you got to do is click on their page, and under the quantity section, just tap that up arrow to see how high up it goes. You know, if it goes all the way to 10, then that means no slots have sold yet. Whatever number it stops at, that's how many are still remaining, and that's how many are left. So you do, I mean, we're more than happy to answer that question for anyone that does reach out to us with it. But you absolutely do have the capability of being able to see that yourself if you prefer to go that route. Just go ahead and give the particular beanies page a visit.
Yeah, and so there are several other of the raffle pieces that that some of the slots are gone. One of them in particular that I'm really excited to do the raffle for is the inch with the felt antennas. And that one, I believe there might be like 7 slots left, but I'm really excited to just talk about him and show him off. He's such a just iconic beanie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually very excited for that one myself as well. Getting into the nostalgia, of it all. When I was young, he was one of the ones similar to like Sly the Fox that as a child, I was aware of the variants of him. And, back in the 90s, how rare were they back then? Everybody was after them. So inchworm is absolutely one of those ones that when I would see a bin of beanies at a store or something like that, I would go digging through them to see if any of the inchworms had the felt antennas. That was just a really deeply seated memory in my mind. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. So yeah, I'm very excited for him as well.
So you were aware of variations like that, even like in real time, like in the 90s when this was happening?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when this craze kind of hit in the late 90s, I was young, I was a kid, but I was probably going on 10 years old. I really had I really gave myself to it. I was all in, I had all the books and read all I could and, just dove in head first. And, like I said, with Inch, Sly the Fox was another one that I remember just really, really being avid and trying to find the brown belly version of him. That was like a really big deal back in the 90s. Nowadays, not so much for Sly, but yeah, I remember checking the bellies on all the Slys and checking the antennas on all the Inches and just looking for those slightly harder to find variants.
That's really cool. See, and it's interesting, like when you look at the duration of Beanie Babies across, time and everything like that, that just right there tells me that you may have started collecting maybe 6 months before I did, seriously. Because when I first started and when I finally got into, oh yes, I'm going to read all the books and things like that, those pieces were gone. Those were like the pieces of the past that couldn't be found anymore. So it's interesting how, now we look back and say, oh, this is all over, a span of this really long time that beanies have been popular. But like, those variations, especially some of these color variations with beanies, I mean, they may have only lasted a very short amount of time, and that's why they've gotten so rare. So, there may have only been a span of a couple months there that it even would be possible to find something like that in the store.
Yeah, definitely. And in some of the older beanies cases, we talk about things quite often like Royal Blue Peanut and stuff. The window on guys like that, where they had a color change very, very early on, was just minuscule. I don't have an exact figure, but I mean, it was just absolutely tiny. The point I like to make as far as like Royal Blue is that he can only be found in 3-1, third generation hang tag, first generation tush tag. Whereas light blue peanut, by the time they changed that, you could still find him in 3-1, right? So, that was something that, what do we got here? That was something, the window was just so small. David, looks like we have.
Hold on 1 second.
There we go.
I am actually on my computer now.
Okay, there we are.
I was joining you on my phone, and yeah, because my computer has just been causing me issues. So
that's no problem. Thought we added some cool
back.
Sound effects, some cool reverb for the raffle tonight.
Absolutely. Hey, you get it all when it's a double raffle.
That's right.
On all the stops.
Yeah, like I was saying, the Royal Blue Peanut, he could only be found in 3-1. By the time they made that color change over to light blue peanut, the elephant, the light blue one could also be found in 3-1. So all of that happened before second gen tush tags even, began surfacing on the market. It was just a terribly, terribly small window of time.
Wow. And that's why they're so rare, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that all really, like the third gens and everything prior to them was years before the boom. Even a lot of third gens came out. I want to say the later ones, right? Third gens, they're either going to have tush tags dated 93 or 95. So ones like Royal Blue Peanut, they came out in 1995. We didn't really start to see the boom until early 97. So there's a pretty good gap in there. So when those types of variants occurred and then changed rapidly before everybody was looking for them, that just added to the scarcity down the line.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's wild because now like we're kind of just viewing everything in this vacuum, but to just remember the actual timeline of these things is just it's part of the story for sure.
It sure is. Well, David, what do you say we jump in and talk
Yeah,
about this teddy bear a little quick
absolutely.
that we got in front of us?
So tell us about, if you don't mind, because the teddies were around for a fairly long period of time, because they were popular. They're so cute and they're iconic. So walk us through a little bit like what that timeline was and where this guy falls in the timeline.
Absolutely. So this is really the style we're talking about here, a new face teddy. This was the second version of teddies that Ty Corp produced. Now, the very first versions, they are known as old face teddies, and they were only around during first and second generation. And they really are some of the most sought after teddy designs in all of the hobby. Right. Everybody wants those older pieces. They're really fantastic. They're just uber rare at this point. What ended up happening was we started to see during third generation that these teddies, they redesigned the face to what this one here looks like. And this is what we refer to as new face design. And really, it's the one that Ty stuck with ever since. This is just such an iconic look to a Beanie Baby, and he really never veered away from it. It was so well received after doing that design change. Now, whether we're discussing old face or new face, because it applies to both, what they did was they released these teddy bears, all the different designs here, in 6 different distinct colors. And old face teddies, whether first or second gen, does not matter. They were never given a ribbon around the neck either. So that was something that was new, that was added during the new face design to kind of spruce up these teddy bears. So during third generation, when these new face teddies came out, like I said, there were 6 different colors, and people really went bonkers trying to complete that collection of 6. And they can be found in brown, like the one that we have up for raffle tonight. They can also be found in cranberry color, jade, magenta, teal, violet. Am I missing any? I don't believe so.
Right here.
There we go. Yeah, there's a nice teal new face right there. Fantastic. Nice piece, David. So those 6 colors came out, and they were really, really popular. And like I said, they came out during third gen. All of them were available with first gen tush tags. So they were at the beginning of third generation. And like I said, that design has remained ever since. But these 6 different color variations of these teddies, and when we're talking new face, you know what? I actually misspoke. Excuse me. I did misspeak. New face design occurred during second generation. So they did do that switch during second gen. The new face teddies could be found during second generation. They did last into third gen. So all 6 colors could be found in third gen as well. Okay. Like this one that we have here tonight. Sorry. Yeah, so if you're like an absolute completist, if you are a perfectionist going after even just teddies, it is a large quantity that you are at that point chasing, because you could be looking for first generation old face teddies, second generation old face teddies, second generation new face teddies, third generation new face teddies. And from there, the brown also continued on into fourth gen as well. So just between those 4 right there, I mean, that's 24 bears that are all spanning between gens 1 through 3, and they're going to be valuable in this day and age. Obviously the first more than the seconds, and the seconds more than the thirds, so on and so forth. But that is a large number of bears to try and chase down. So a lot of people, they do tend to like to look for these ones. The third generation, while they do hold nice value, they are a little bit easier to acquire for, the moderate collector that maybe can't spend up to look for those first and second generations.
That's awesome. So, and this is Teddy here. I remember, so really, really quick, this one in particular, because I just always, the brown Teddy was, I think, the most iconic of all of the Teddy colors. It's just, it stuck around the longest, because brown Teddy went into fourth generation. But I remember, even as a collector, I was in a store and there was a brown Teddy like this one up on like the upper shelf, and it had some price attached to it that was just astronomical. I don't remember, but I just remember looking at that and always loving the teddy bears, of being like, wow, someday maybe I'll be able to get a brown new face teddy. So
it's funny too. It's funny that you say that, especially because, when we think back to the 90s, how you said you look up to a shelf. But, for those of us that were kids then, I mean, we were looking up at, because they kept all the nice stuff up high, right? So, yes. I mean, with the nice things, we were all looking up at it in that sort of amazed, slack-jawed look at these awesome beanies that were out of our, grasp back then. And I had that same exact thing happen to me in a mall that's fairly local to me, about 45 minutes away. There used to be this store that was not really a store at all. I guess it was probably just an open space for rent. And someone was in there that sold like antiques and knickknacks and all sorts of, bric-a-brac and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, there was this one display case that had not beanies. It may have been like watches or keychains, something, like one of the ones you would see in a store where you spin it on the bottom and the whole display case rotates. And on the top of that case, in this like plastic container, was the dinosaur trio back then. And just like you said, it was some ungodly number that they had attached to those 3 beanies. And as a matter of fact, until I became an adult collector later on in life, that was the one and only time I ever saw those beanies in person, outside of a book. So it was definitely a really special memory. And it's another one of those things that tied to me, that it was just so special with the dinosaur trio when I did finally be able to purchase them as an adult, because it just seemed so unattainable back then in my young eyes.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, to bring it full circle back to Mr. Bean's Raffles, that makes this so amazing, is that we're actually taking these pieces that so many of us have longed for, right? For possibly 20 years or more, 25 years, 30 years even, and finally making them attainable. Many of these pieces really are still very sought after. And now we're at a place, through doing a service like these raffles, that we can kind of break down that price into a lot smaller pieces, and somebody, for a fraction of what this guy is worth, is going to be getting him probably this week shipped out. So it's a really special thing, and we're excited that we're able to do this for you.
I agree, David. Now, we do have to save a little bit of time to talk about our friend Bones the dog.
Yes.
Next, how do you feel about us getting into this raffle here for Brown New Face Teddy?
If you can give me host permission.
I sure can.
And I'll get this pulled up.
You've got it.
There we go. All right, here's the screen.
Beautiful. So, guys, I'll walk you through this just like I like to do every time. Our raffles are really simple. They're really fun. What we do is we use this random.org list randomizer here. For every slot purchase, your name goes into the randomizer one time. There are 10 names total for this beanie. And what you will notice is when we click the randomize button down at the bottom left, it will jumble all of the names up into a different order. And for every raffle, we will randomize this list a total of 5 times. And after the 5th and final randomization, whoever's name appears at the top of the list is going to be our winner on this new face brown teddy, 3rd generation. So, guys, we won't keep you waiting. Without further ado, we will go ahead. Oh, wait, let's just touch base real quick and just make sure everybody's here where we want them to be. We do have 5 spots for Donna on this raffle, 3 spots for Brian, 1 for Claudia, and 1 for Jimmy. Just wanted to make sure that we got everybody out there, and that number did equal 10, as it does. So now, without further ado, we will go ahead and randomize this list once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and good luck on everybody. 5th and final randomization. Donna, congratulations, Donna. You just won yourself this 3rd generation new face brown teddy.
Congrats, Donna. And it is awesome. So the process kind of from here is that Mr. Beans is going to be reaching out to you, making sure that we have your correct shipping. The shipping cost is included. You don't have to pay anything additional. And this guy will get, knowing Mr. Beans, he'll get shipped tomorrow. And so you'll probably be getting him this week. So congratulations, Donna.
Yes, I reiterate all of that. Congrats, Donna. And absolutely, David hit the nail on the head. We will be sure to get these guys packaged up and sent out to you ASAP tomorrow.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Beans. So we've got number 2 today.
We do, and we have a really classic design here, one of my absolute favorites. We have a 3rd generation hang tag, 1st generation tush tag, also known as a 3-1, Bones the dog. And, you know, just like we talk about the teddies, as a matter of fact, this particular design for Bones the dog actually predates the new face teddy design. Bones was available. Yep, Bones was available during 1st generation before the new faces ever were, you know, created and released. So this, you know, we are dealing with a very, very iconic tie piece when we talk about Bones the dog here. As far as 3rd gen goes, this is the best tag combo you can come across with the 1st gen tush tag, which we are looking at here. It is the black and white style tush tag. Every generation after 1st will have red on the tush in some way or form. So these really are the ones, you know, if you're a very picky collector, such as myself, such as many of us are, we really like to try and go after the oldest possible tag combos. And, you know, like I said, Bones was available in 1st and 2nd gen hang tag. But as far as 3rd generation Bones goes, this is as good as he gets.
And that is a gorgeous beanie. I mean, you can even see, I'm on the other end of the camera here, just the vibrancy of the colors, the beautiful bright red tag. One of the things that I definitely remember about Bones, the first Bones that I got was a teeny beanie baby. And, you know, he's been that iconic that people, you know, even when they first released that teeny beanie collection, they wanted to make sure that Bones was part of it. Everybody loves the dogs, and especially just the cuteness of Bones. And again, just like that brown teddy, Bones was around for so many generations, and that just speaks to how popular he was. Everybody loved the design. And this design, correct me if I'm wrong, stayed the same the entire time. That just means that from the moment he was released, he was perfect, and Ty loved him. And despite the tag generations changing, he kept that iconic look and colors all the way through his existence. So
Yep, you hit the nail on the head there, David. He was very well received, we'll say, by the public. And when that's the case, you don't have to, change the design or the look of the beanie at all. And as a matter of fact, even more so, I do believe, like how we spoke about the brown new face teddy here, how he continued on in a fourth generation. Bones did the same thing. As a matter of fact, I believe he could also be found with a fifth generation hang tag. So,
Yeah,
he's one of those beanies, that really lasted just about as long as they could. Because, once we talk about beanies after fifth gen, pretty much most beanies, could be found with one generation of hang tag. And by the time they moved on to the next gen, whether we're talking 6 or 8 or 9, by the time they moved on to that next generation, it was all new designs. Those beanies did not carry over. There was a little bit of a gap there. Some beanies can also be found with a 7th gen hang tag. And we have received questions, do these two, it could be found with a 6 or a 7. The reason for that, guys, is because 7th generation hang tags were strictly used on beanies that were sold in the UK. So if something here was released during 6th generation, when it got sold in the UK, that's what a 7th gen tag is actually. So, 7th gen tags, they did not exist in the US. I guess if you really wanted to nitpick it, what we consider to be 8th generation was technically our 7th here in the US. And so 7th gen hang tags are a little bit of an oddity there, but pretty much, that holds true. And 4th and 5th gen, they really were the only time where you saw a lot of the same beanies all kind of transferring over from one generation to the next. Not totally the case. 5th gen did have some new designs included, but a lot of 4th generation and even earlier beanies did carry on into 5th generation. So those first 5 gens, it was a really, really special time. And if you kind of put yourself in the shoes of Ty Warner or the people that were doing it, you got to figure they were only just a handful of years into this business with the Beanie Babies. Obviously, Ty as a company was around well into the 80s, but they were really honing their craft and their skill and figuring out the best ways to release beanies, when to retire them. And, as time went on, they just started changing designs with every generation. But yeah, Bones absolutely has stood the test of time.
100%. Well, with that said, shall we start the Bones raffle?
You betcha. Let's dive on in. We'll head right back on over to random.org.
And as you can see right automatically there, my immediate question that I'm excited to see, will Donna be lucky a second time?
That's right. So Donna, a fan favorite here of the Mr. Beans raffle service. We love everybody that participates equally. Donna, we thank you so much, especially. We see you participate all the time. We love the participation efforts. And this Bones raffle is no exception. We have Donna in for 8 slots on Bones the dog, followed up by Tammy with 1 and Joseph with 1. We wish everybody equal luck. We are so excited to see where this Bones lands. And we will go ahead and randomize this list once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and good luck, everybody. 5th and final randomization. And Donna has done it. Donna has gone back to back on Mr. Bean's raffle night. Congratulations, Donna. We're so happy for you.
That's great. So you've got 2 new little characters coming to you. We're excited for you.
And best of all is that, I guys, listen, I'm totally aware that these are inanimate objects. Okay. Nobody needs to call my doctor with any concerns, but a small part of me is very happy that these 2 particular beanies that have been together with me at Mr. Beans for so long are going to remain together. They're not being split up. They're going to enjoy the same home together. They won't, one won't be lost without the other. They will both find their way over to you, Donna. Congratulations again.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And as we do say here, it certainly everyone who participates in Mr. Bean's raffles truly is a winner, because the portions of all these proceeds are going to our Mr. Bean's charities, especially our Beanie Therapy Project, which is providing the joy of Beanie Babies to people in need in various different capacities. They could be kids, they could be senior citizens, they could be people with special needs, but truly the joy of Beanie Babies can impact everyone's life in a positive way. And we keep that going, and we feel very strongly about that here at Mr. Bean's. So truly, in whatever way you participate, a raffle, a direct sale, even a direct donation at mrbeansbabies.com, everybody is going towards spreading that joy of Beanie Babies around the world to people who really need it. So we thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't put it any better than that. Absolutely, David. Wholeheartedly. Very well said.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for our special double raffle today of Teddy and Bones. We really appreciate it. Keep participating in raffles so that we can do another one of these very soon. And Mr. Beans, do you want to send us home?
I sure do. As always, guys, I am Mr. Beans, and I hope you had a fantastic time. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
Good night, everybody.